We're smiling. We're all smiling. How you doing? Welcome.
Through the Botox?
Welcome to you, the viewer. Welcome to our fantastic panel on the side. I told him to smile and somewhere. It's the after dram. And that means it's time to unwind. It's time to put your feet up, grab a dram or two, and relax. So as a quick recap to our evening, Drew, Nick, Dave, Sheila, and I have done a deep dive into lesson 5 and lesson 6 of this book right here, The Complete Whisky Course, with the author, Robin Robinson.
Oh, sorry. No.
There you go. Yeah, it was informative. It was entertaining. And the fun's just begun. We're keeping doing it. So we're going to do another round of introductions and tell us what's in your glasses now in case it's changed a wee little bit since the last time. So let's go. Let's start, as always, with you, Robin. Then we'll do Dave and then Sheila and Drew.
All right, so I decided to kind of switch it up and kind of get into the Irish mode there for a second. So I just cracked this bottle just now. So this is Teeling's pot still style. This is the first whiskey that has emanated from the new Teeling distillery in Dublin. Okay. Prior to that, as you know, that they were part of the Cooley dynasty, and when they sold Cooley, they actually had their hands on a good bit of the assets there, and that's what was the beginning of the Teeling distillery, was the Cooley assets. So this is actually from their triple pot distillation in their brand new distillery right now. So this is actually, I'm really excited to actually take it. First time.
Is it finished in something? Was that one finished?
Oh, no. This is straight ahead ex bourbon. Not chill filtered. Yeah, I mean, they really wanted to bring the whole idea of pot still style whiskey that their great grandfather used to make in that area, and so that's very exciting. So,
and I've got one right beside me too. I think it's called Brabazon.
Barbizon.
That's one.
Uh-huh.
So, and that's a finished whiskey too, though.
Yes, that's a finished. Okay. Yeah. Teeling specialized when Alex Chasko came in to be their head of distiller, master distiller. Their idea was to actually kind of like really show off the secondary finish style that they were bringing to Irish whiskey. So yeah, they're known for that. You know.
All right, it's excellent. I love it. Dave, what you got, buddy?
All right. Well, it's back to the fancy 3-bottle selection I got of Jameson here. I picked it up in Lloydminster, Saskatchewan. Love the package. Got the articulated handle, the swing open door. I mean, it's got everything you want in a carrying case.
Any whiskey left in it?
Oh yeah.
I still got okay. In the back, we could see it. Yeah. Good stuff.
But I do have it in 3 glasses, so I'm drinking all 3 of them.
Nice. Well, as you should. Triple fist comparison.
Double
great
fist
side-by-side comparison.
I do double. You're tripling. You have to one up me. That's good. Go ahead. Sheila, are you triple fisting it, or are you quadruple fisting it, or what?
I am really full tonight, so I'm still drinking the same thing as earlier.
Yeah. So
I'm still in dissertation. But if I was going to drink something different, I probably would have picked out Writer's Tears, because that's really appropriate for me tonight.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's good. And which Writer's Tears do you like?
I'm partial to red right now. Okay,
good. Nice. It would have been perfect with the atmosphere. And Drew, what you got?
I have what's left of my Napoke, and I poured some Redbreast 12.
We were talking about Redbreast. That's good. Yeah. I do like it a lot. Is it the cask strength? Because that is.
I've got, this is the 12.
Okay.
I've got the cask strength all sherry. But that was my retirement bottle, and I'm now down to about a little less than a quarter of the bottle. So I'm kind of,
What did you retire from?
I retired from the military.
Oh, okay, got it. So you switch careers.
Yeah, I switched careers.
Okay, got it. Actually, I don't see enough gray in your beard to actually to say retirement.
Yeah, that's still a ways away for me too. And yeah, you don't see as much gray, but there's a lot more than what you see under there. So, and me, I'm doing, because we're going to talk about this in a second, but Robin got a care package from Dave and I, and this was in it, and I was going to ask him his opinion. And Alberta Premium, it was good. If Kent was on, we actually did a comparison. We talked about this right when it came out. I bought this bottle for, I think, $52. He bought his for $47 because it wasn't really expensive. So that's like $12 American or something like that. And now they're into the $100 and $150 for the first one, just because the Bible it came up.
All you need is a review. And then also, I think, wasn't it also Whiskey Advocate that actually
did they?
Yeah, they hailed it. Yeah, they hailed it. I think that was their number one pick.
Okay, and it's and I got to tell you, we're Alberta people here, and we like to promote our stuff. But in my mind, this isn't the best in the world. And I did enjoy it. And Kent and I both decided that we would always have one of these. And this one's finished, but I got another one out there. We always have one in our cabinet. It's something that we like. I love rye. So I was always going to have it. I like the 20-year-old better than this that they put out at the exact same time. I like it better. But this is what everyone's talking about right now. And I was going to ask you, Robin, what you thought of it, because you were drinking it during the first one.
Yeah, and I got it back here in my glass again. And, you know, what I like about it, the nose is absolutely, it's so un-Canadian. It's all Caribbean. You know, it's almost as if they were doing this in rum cask, you know.
Well, this is 100% rye as well. So
yeah.
Most of the time we think Canadian, it's got 5% rye and
right.
At least 80, 85, 90%
corn. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's absolutely, the nose is really, really, I mean, again, it's not that it's not Canadian. It's just that I really couldn't tell what it was because of all of this sort of tropical florality that was coming out of it. It's, I mean, you know, I this is cast strength, so I always put a couple, you know, drops of water in it.
A little dropper. Yeah. And
really beautiful. Canadian rye is absolutely different than any American rye I've ever tasted. And it has a distinct profile. And I am an anti-terroirist, you know.
Yeah, we do.
And yeah, right. Yeah. But it's distinctive, you know, and not just, you know, from Alberta, but, you know, like the Gimli rye, the Hiram Walker ryes, you know, I mean, they're absolutely distinctive, you know, which is what made Whistle Pig like a distinctive whiskey, because it was essentially a Canadian whiskey.
They finished. Yeah.
So I think it's lovely. I think it's a really, really lovely whiskey. It's got a lot of finesse. It has a lot of character and complexity. Nice, kind of a medium to long finish. A little bit of the rye dryness on the on the end of that, but still, it kind of keeps giving. There's butterscotch coming out of there. I got a little bit of, like, you know, kind of like almost black tea right about mid palate. I mean, there was a whole bunch of really fun things going on that I really enjoyed. So, I mean, I'd love it. I think it's really a wonderful whiskey. And I'm a huge fan of it.
Good. And I'll send you another sample if you want it. But I did send you 3 other samples of rye.
You did.
So Dave sent up the Two Brewers stuff, but I added the number 17 because Two Brewers 17 is the rye. It's the only rye they've done so far. And it's my favorite of the whole. And actually the 24 that just came out is fantastic. And I think he got some of the 24 as well. It's a cast strength single malt. How many years, Dave? 11?
11.
11 for that.
Yep.
So
Well, it's 12 now
no, okay.
because
We changed
7,
the year.
8, 9 days in, it's 12. Yeah.
So no, it's lovely. But I sent you three other ryes that I like better than this. So all three of them I like better. Millstone 100 was my favorite. The second one, the Lot 40 cast strength, I like a lot. We tried one with Dr. Don this summer, which was a Lot 40 quarter cask peated cast strength, because we were guinea pigs for Dr. Don. So we do this in our thing. He comes on and he gives us 3 whiskeys. We tried the 22-year-old that you had there before they put it out on the market. And they have their marketing people in the background that he's talking to while we're doing our tasting with them. And the one I'm really looking forward to that I've loved more than any of the other ryes, except for Millstone 100, which you have, is the, again, quarter cask peated Lot 40 cast strength. It's fantastic.
Is that the dark oak?
Nope, that's not the dark oak. The dark oak came out and we tried. Guys, do you remember, did we try the dark oak? I don't think we had dark oak that night.
No.
But we do have a bottle because Dave's got some connections in BC, because it only came out in 2 provinces, BC and Ontario.
Got it.
And Dave's got some. I'm not getting you in trouble, am I there, Dave? Okay, good. So someone else.
Not yet.
Not yet. So we're gonna have the dark oak at one point. So I like that. And the number 17 from Two Brewers was my 3rd favorite of all time. It's my favorite Two Brewer thing.
So I've got the 14. I've got the 14 and the 23. Okay. And I can tell you this. So this is the style of whiskey that I really love this style. So Dave, tell me just a little bit of background on this here. So it's a pale black and chocolate malt.
Yep. And I can't remember the ages. I can go get it out of my briefcase, but it's a combination of 7, 8, 9-year-old. So we don't do age statements because we're not that old yet.
And are these all? Is this finished beer?
No, this is whiskey. It's just using beer malt.
Well, I understand that, but is it so it wasn't a fully brewed hopped whiskey, a beer before it was actually, because that's actually that's a big huge trend going on right now.
Yeah, no, it went from the wash right to fermentation.
Okay, got it. And what was the wash strength? Do you have any idea?
Wash strength was about 11. And our fermentation processes, we use beer yeast for a while, then we switch over to distilling yeast, and it 5 to 7 days.
See, that's what I'm picking up. So this is essentially, this is almost a completely brewed beer from my perspective because of that. You're using a 7-day ferment. You're using 2 different kinds of yeast, right? That right there, because I picked that right up on the nose of this. And like I said, this is like one of my favorite new styles of whiskey. I'm seeing a lot of it, St. George does something, Dead Guy. There's another one, right? Yeah. Rogue Whiskey, Rogue Brewing.
Yeah.
St. George does the Baller. There's a couple of these guys, the guys that I used to consult for in Rhode Island called Sons of Liberty, that were actually using a local beer. And then another group that I was consulting for, they've closed their distillery now, unfortunately, but they were using a pale ale from Captain Lawrence Brewery, which is another Hudson Valley place, and it was the finished beer.
It just doesn't it doesn't make financial sense to make a beer and then go and distill it.
Yeah,
like that's a long process.
Right.
Well, right. It is for you because you guys make a lot of money on your beer. You sell tons of beer. You make more money on beer than Scotch.
Don't say that.
I'm saying,
but that would make perfect sense. At least in the early days of whiskey making. When just from an economic perspective. I mean, maybe in a couple of years, because the margins are higher. But
and I love it. And if you try the 17, I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah. Every time I work for Dave for something, and it's a whiskey show here, whiskey show there, my payment is a bottle of 17. So it's getting harder and harder for him to do that for me.
And 17's only got 7% rye, but it was aged in Peerless straight rye barrels, so secondary aged.
It was good. But the Millstone 100, I don't know if you've had it yet, but that's
I haven't gotten to it yet.
Rye of all time. Actually, not the one I sent you. I'm sorry. We had a single barrel one from Millstone 100, so that's still a blend of their barrels. But I had a single barrel that was put out by a place here in the city called, Kensington Wine Market in Calgary, and one of our stores here called Keg and Cork shared a barrel.
Although this does say, written there in very, very small, 4-point handwriting.
That's me.
My favorite right now.
Okay. Yeah. Well, not trying to push that. I'm not trying to make you think anything. I think it's discontinued. I don't think they're making again. They're changing the recipe, but that was it. And I was at a tasting. You were talking about Dr. Don. We were at the Banff Whiskey Experience, and I talked to Dr. Don after his presentation. Then we're walking around. And he wanted to know what I thought of his newest whiskey and the Lot 40 as well. And he was assuming, because he knew I loved rye, that I was going to say it's my favorite. I said, I like it a lot, Don. But I got to tell you, there's one in this room that I like more. And his face just dropped, and he got all serious on me. He goes, what? You have to go.
Don's a competitive guy. He doesn't like coming in second.
I said, Millstone 100. And Davin and I both have the same one. We both figured out that we love that one again. So we have that in common. I said Millstone 100, and they're just over there. So he takes off, right? He goes over, he tries it, and he comes back, and he doesn't say very much to me after that. And it's like, you're mad at me or you agree with me. I couldn't quite tell which. So
Or maybe he thought, gee, I had so much respect for this guy's palate until now.
This fucker knows nothing. That stuff's shit, though. No. So, but we've talked after, and he's done stuff. So he's at least forgiven me now. So I'm okay. But he didn't let me that night when I told him it was not my favorite. The Millstone 100 was. It was fun. And plus you're drinking all day. You have masterclass after masterclass after masterclass. And I'm not presenting, I'm drinking at that point. And I was actually at a Walker. We were doing, you're trying to make your own blend at this one. Not the one that he does, not the JP Wises where they have their 101 where you make blends, but we had like 8 different, their core blends from Diageo, and trying to make your own blend. So I had entirely too much that day trying to make my favorite blend. And I figured out that a small amount of peat goes a long way in a blend. I really didn't know that. I had no idea.
I used to do that in the early years of Compass Box. John would ship me all kinds of samples over, and then I would do a blending seminar as a master class. And that's what the number one thing that everybody learns is a little bit of peat goes a long way, man. Yeah, everyone thinks, Baltimore, I can do that shit. No. Right.
I was thinking like 50% peat. It's like, I want half of it peat.
Yeah.
And they agreed, and we tried it, and no.
Undrinkable. So, right. Yeah.
Maybe like 5%. Maybe. Yeah. I don't even, it was like drops, man.
It goes a long way. I mean, it all depends what you're using as that peated whiskey, but
it was Talisker.
Diageo that's not even a heavily peated whiskey,
No.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's great.
It was fun.
That surprised a lot of people. When I first met John, I went to London and sat with him for a day, and he took me through his entire blending regimen.
Okay.
And kind of taught me what it is that he does. And the takeaway I thought was interesting. He says, whiskey's meant to drink, so I'm making whiskey for people to drink. And so I'm trying to ask 2 questions. who's going to drink the whiskey and what's the occasion? And he says, when you think about that, as you're putting your components together and when you're tasting your samples, it really kind of helps frame your work, you know. So you have to answer those questions first. Who's going to make the who's going to drink the whiskey and what's the occasion?
Yeah.
And so I blended one and I called it Rose's Wedding because that's my daughter's name.
Nice.
And I said, eventually, you know, she's going to get married. She was, you know, only in high school at that time. And I said, when she does, this is going to be the whiskey that we drink at her wedding. And so that's the occasion. Now, who's going to drink it? Well, I'm thinking I might be the only person who really likes peated whiskey. So it's only going to be a little bit of that. Spiciness really works well. Fruitiness really works well. So that was the whole idea. So when I put it together, you know, it's kind of like, oh, I said, oh, that's perfect. Me, her new husband, her husband's parents, and my wife, right, will be the people who drink the whiskey, right? So
good enough.
Yeah, it's a very interesting kind of a framing device, you know, for creativity.
And we have Millennium bottles. I think most Drew and Sheila, do you have a Millennium bottle where you're trying to blend something?
Not ongoing at the moment. We've done it a few times.
Okay.
We don't
well, you tried mine. It was last year you tried mine. I was pretty
tried yours.
The nose on mine was really good. I appreciated the nose, and when I was blending it, whatever's left, if I think it's going to add to it, I put it on. It's this guy right here.
Is that like an infinity bottle? You just keep adding?
Exactly that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I say Millennium, thinking there's going to be 1,000 in there type thing at one point. Yeah. So anytime there's, and these are all half decent, all on their own, they're fantastic whiskeys. And on the nose, I love it. I love it. But on the palate, it's fucking gross, man.
That's what happened.
And Drew and Sheila and Nick that was there before and Kent from last, they're all trying to be nice to me about it. It's like, no, the nose is good, Dolph. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. I'm thinking it's fucking gross. What's wrong with you?
You know where that goes? That goes into your flask for the golf course, right? Because that's actually the perfect one to take out on a golf course.
Well, it is. And when people come over, it's like, oh, try this. What do you think of this? It's kind of a fun thing, right? When you're trying to create something. But I decided a while ago. So actually, no, it was 2 years ago at the Banff Experience when I did that blending thing that I have no nose for blending. I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. And the respect that you have for the people who are actually doing it and trained really well and do it on a consistent basis with different barrels and different finishes. There's a lot of respect going for them. They really do something that I can't do right now that I would love to do. I would quit teaching and do that as a job for the rest of my life if I thought that I could, and I obviously can't. So,
yeah, you really got to zero in. You're really blending, nosing. I mean, you guys all know this. I mean, it takes an enormous amount of concentration to really, suss out what's going on inside that glass,
and I don't think I have the fortitude to not drink it, to tell you the truth, Rob. Like you're sitting there with so much during the day. I don't think
I do. I'm a judge on a lot of competitions. So the number one thing you do is just like, spit it out. Get rid of it, as soon as possible, because, you'll never make it through the competition.
I'd be great on a panel. You'd be there in a room with 4 guys, and I'd be on the floor and just.
I used to see these social media posts from friends of mine who were judging competitions, and they're going, "Well, I'm doing 80 vodkas today." I'm going, "Really? Like I don't want to be your 70th, in front of you." Like 80 vodkas. I mean, your palate is completely shot.
What do you taste? Yeah. Well, we had 8 last night, and I was gone by the end. I was having a hard time with that. So, but I'm drinking. I'm not spitting. I'm not cleansing. I'm not doing anything. Right. So, there's one question up here from Naren and Dave. I want to see if you know the answer to this, because this goes to what Robin was saying. So, do we have any distillers in Canada fully finished beer process that's doing?
I tried to use the chat feature on my thing here, but.
I
can only do one thing at a time. and I can only speak for us. It just costs too much to make a beer and then take it back and then run it through the distilling process.
And her further comment was pretty good too. And there is whiskey out there that was hopped. There are hopped whiskeys, and JP Weiser's tried one as well, which was half decent. I thought
I've had some that are fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Kelly, out in Victoria has did one hop the beer, all the rest, and then distilled it out. I don't know if it's been released yet, but they were just telling us about it the last time we were there.
So to go back a little bit, we have run some beers through the still, and we've called them beer schnapps.
Yeah.
And we've done one with Lead Dog, which is a dark ale. We've done one with a lager, an IPA, and something else, and we've done one with Yukon Red, and I thought they were really cool. I've actually got one bottle of the Lead Dog at home.
Were any of them put into a barrel for?
The Lead Dog was. In a year, it picked up so much color. It was really kind of scary to see the color on it.
Dark.
I can get it out of the back room here. But can you put Naren's question back up again? The second
there's
question.
The original one there.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
No, that's not. No, it's the next one. Oh, we talked about hop beer.
Yeah.
So she doesn't know how she feels about hops finding their way into whiskey.
So, Naren, I'll send you a sample of our whiskey number 8, which actually had glacier hops put into the wash before it went through fermentation.
Okay.
And we've actually got an experimental barrel of hops that were added after the first distillation process.
Good.
So
it'd be nice to revisit the 8 anyways, because it's been a long time.
It was really fun to give the 8 to the home brewers, because the home brewers all picked the hops up in it right away.
Okay.
Other people didn't
involved with the Home Brewers Guild as well, and we do a lot here, and so and they love their stuff, and you have a lot of brewers in the home brewers, like not just home brewers, but like brewers as well. So some people would know what they're doing.
Yeah. So financially, it doesn't make sense to make a beer and then take it back and distill it.
For you guys.
For us.
You know what? It might be phenomenal. You might put that up and someone might have a palate for it that just loves it. Someone like me maybe, that wants to try it.
But you read about other distillers that actually bring in beer from a brewery and distill that.
Yeah.
So if somebody's going to sell me a wash that's really inexpensive, why would you distill it?
Well, that's just it. You're talking about the economics of you brewing it and then distilling it. That may not make economic sense. I think what makes sense is just as you said, and that's what these guys there was a little distillery here in upstate New York called Still the One, and people of a certain age will get the reference.
Okay.
He just laughed.
Still the one, yeah.
So he got it. Right?
It takes a little longer to get through the gray area.
But they were working in conjunction with a really, really top-notch local brewery called Captain Lawrence, and they were getting their wash and then running it through their stills, and it was excellent. It was really quite good. Yeah.
And
what's something for us to look for? It's good.
Well, when this thing all started, I talked to the guys, Koval.
Yeah.
In Chicago, I was in the brewery that was next door to Koval, and it makes sense to me to have the brewery make the wash and then sell it to Koval, so you didn't have to go. Yeah.
When you think about Koval, I mean, they're one of the most automated distilleries you're ever going to run into. And it's interesting because Robert Berneker he's a schnapps. His background is schnapps. You know, he's a Bavarian distiller as opposed to like a Scots Irish, like Todd Leopold down here in Colorado. Same way. Yeah, they come from a Bavarian background as opposed to a Scots Irish background. So their whole thinking process about it is quite differently. But if there's anybody who knows the economics of distilling, it's Koval, you know, because they're consultants as well. as you know,
They're
yeah, Robert and Sonnet are really they're man. Those guys they shoot at the top of their game all the time.
All right, but I still have a couple questions that we didn't get to before. I just want to make sure I get to this one. And I only had 2 quotes tonight, so there's the quote is waiting for. Yeah, there we go. One. So we're talking about Walkerville. So back to the Canadian Distilleries, page 131. Walker felt it was upon him to even regulate behavioral conditions in Walkerville and practice a form of housing and employment discrimination that you find suspect today. I want you to tell me what he did, because it piqued my interest. I'm going, you didn't tell me what's suspect. I want to know this, man. So what came out?
Well, first of all, Walkerville was built for his employees. So this is truly the company town. Yeah. But you have to remember the time that Walker was living in was part of sort of like the second great revival in America. And it was the time of the utopians.
Okay.
So there was a
perfect society. Yeah.
It was absolutely right. And as a matter of fact, Kellogg's, right? The cereal makers. He was another one of them. C.W. Post, right? From Post Cereals was another one. So these guys, so there was this, zeitgeist, this philosophical zeitgeist about utopianism. And it formulated from an ideology into practices. And in order to actually make that happen, you actually have to put practices together, which was essentially housing discrimination. Absolutely. Yeah. Only a certain kind of person was actually going to work, was going to live in Walkerville. Now, from a 21st century, from a late 20th, 21st century perspective, we would look at more than askance at that, right? But at that period, of time, this is exactly how they thought. And, they felt, that was the reason for capital. The reason for capital, well, first of all, it was God-given. So it was God-given for a reason, right? For me to do something with it. And if I'm going to do great things with it, then I have to follow sort of a philosophical construct. And this was, yeah, man. I mean, you can see how that shit can go off the rails real easy. But yeah, that was, Walkerville was really kind of an interesting, amazing place because, he had a fire department. He built sewage. He had their own,
hospitals.
Hospital, everything. It was a town, so I came from a little town called Homestead, which is where Carnegie built his steel mill, and endowed the town with all of his providence, but at the same time was bleeding all of the workers at the same time. Okay. But this was the robber baron, and again, he was, of that mentality where these guys were super awoke, and he built some damn nice house in Walkerville for his employees, beautiful brick. Yeah, for the right employees, that was just it. Yeah, it was for the right employees. Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But that's where
did they discriminate? So. I got from that was discrimination on race, but I was wondering if it was like religious discrimination.
It was discrimination across the board, ethnic discrimination, racial discrimination probably didn't fall into it too much because I don't think anyone black got that far north. Now you got to remember he was across the river from Detroit, but Detroit wasn't black until the 1930s after the Great Migration.
Okay,
up from the south.
Okay.
Detroit was 100% white. It was as white as anywhere at that point in that area of Ontario across the river. So the whole idea, the Great Migration from the South came up was in the early 20th century, culminating in the 1920s, and that's of course that's when you see the rise of jazz and Beale Street and Chicago Blues and
Nice.
and all of that.
Yeah.
But they had been they were essentially refugees from the South, because the South was now absolutely intolerable with its purveyance of white supremacy.
Yeah.
And and of course that's where the work was at. The work was in the industrial towns of the North.
So you're going up north, working in the mills, man.
Yeah. But it was definitely religious, it was definitely ethnic, you had a lot of ethnic migration that was coming, European and Eastern European, especially Eastern European, because Eastern Europeans were the Mexicans of their day.
Yeah. Well, they all were too. The Irish was at one point when we
and the Irish,
yeah,
and the
so
Irish, the Italians.
It was always one after and one after.
One, yeah, absolutely.
And for us, it was the Chinese, and after the Chinese, it just
exactly. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go to another one. Page 143. I love the information, and you talk about the different grades, the 4 different grains, and the flavors you get out of the 4 different grains. And I always forget the one that comes, the breadiness of wheat. So, and you talk about there. So, but I need the panel, or you, Robin, to suggest a bottle that I can get that's a wheat whiskey. Not just, and I say whiskey because I don't think a bourbon's going to help me out with this, with the breadiness so much. I need something that's going to imprint on me so I never forget the flavor of a wheated whiskey. Bernheim?
Yeah.
I got to write it down, Ben.
Bernheim is a wheat whiskey. Also, there's a young guy in Northern California named Adam Spiegel from Sonoma Distilling. That I don't know if he's still doing the wheat whiskey, but for what were you showing there, Sheila?
My notes for Bernheim Original from Heaven Hill.
What was it? Your notes?
My notes, yeah.
Yeah.
Bernheim from Heaven Hill.
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, that's the most popular wheat whiskey out there right now.
And is it really bready, like you just said? Is it the yeast you're tasting, or is it?
No, it's sweet breads. Yeah. Fruity bread. It's definitely, it's like, to me, it's like fucking cornflakes whiskey. It's like breakfast cereal. Yeah, it's like breakfast cereal whiskey. And for that reason, that's why it's not for everybody. Because it could take a little while to really kind of, take away my people, but leave my factories, and soon grass will grow on the factory floors. Take away my factories, but leave. Yeah, well, there you go. So Whiskey Throttle must be quoting from the Walker's Manifesto here. Yeah. But yeah, wheat whiskeys. So this guy Sonoma Whiskey, he was making a 100% wheat whiskey as well as a craft whiskey, which was really quite good. But again, really just quite different. That's why Maker's Mark is so popular, because they're using wheat as a secondary grain.
Yeah.
And so it gets something else to balance out all that wheatiness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I said not bourbon, because I've had wheated bourbons. I can tell the difference between a wheated and non-wheated bourbon.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give me the breadiness that I'm thinking of in my head, right? So I just needed something to kind of latch onto. So you gave it to me, it's good. I just have to
be the one. That would be the one.
Is it available here? Do you know?
We grabbed it the first time from Keg and Cork a couple of years back. I think I've seen it in a bunch of other places as well.
Okay. Done.
It's definitely a different flavor.
Well, that's my next one to get. So it's there.
It took a while to get used to. So
I just need the flavor, because I need something, and I need to have it a couple times just to imprint, just to sit there in my mind so I can refer to it, right?
Yeah. I don't have a bottle of it, or I'd just get you a sample. But
no, that's good.
We finished.
I want to have the bottle.
I'm pretty sure that downstairs where my whiskey is at, I'm pretty sure I've got another bottle of wheated whiskey, and I'm racking my brain right now to remember what it is. But it's a is it Bowman's?
I don't know.
There's another wheat. It's not Kentucky.
Okay.
It's coming from somewhere else. But yeah, because that's actually kind of where wheat whiskey kind of sort of got its start, and it didn't, because Kentucky was really the western province of Virginia, and so
and that's a major grain, I'm guessing.
It was, yeah, it was a huge grain, yeah, it was a huge grain there, and so a lot of early distillations were done with wheat. It fell out of favor, I think, just from a flavor perspective.
All right. Well, if it pops in your head, just shoot me an email.
I will.
And I'll find something else. I'll do that.
Okay.
And the other thing I wanted to talk to you, and I didn't want to interrupt you when you were talking about Hull, but Hull and Ashburn, I think you've met both of them with 40 Creek. I just want to know what you thought of both of them, because Ashburn, Hull, people talk about and you see him, but what people say he was like in his persona when you see him presenting is different. And Ashburn, you can't even talk to the guy. He's an introvert. He just kind of. So I'm wondering what you thought when you met
Bill. And Bill, he just came right out and said it. He said, "I would just rather not talk to people."
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and it wasn't that he was like a misanthrope or anything like that. I mean, not at all. It's just that there is, I think, just an innate shyness to the man, and that it makes him a little uncomfortable. And I was lucky. I spent a good, afternoon with him, and he and I got to, had a wonderful rapport, and it was really an enjoyable time. And then we also had the guy who was the brand manager that was sort of like our interface, and he kind of helped. He was like the middle cog.
Might be 40 Creek Chris if it was a while ago, or he's been around for just.
No, it was. I think his name was John. It was Chris. I think was the brand ambassador, and this was the brand manager. Yeah, a Campari guy. He was the Campari guy, and but yes, then I couldn't get him to shut up, which was absolutely the best thing, because once we got into the distillery and once we got into the process, man, that's all he wanted to talk about, right? So he was in his element, and it was fantastic. Pages and pages of notes throughout the entire thing. So it was terrific, And then we did a little tasting afterwards in the tasting room, and and it was really, so very interesting guy. John Hall is certainly more of an. John Hall was he was the salesman. He was 200 days of the year he was on the road. So he personable guy. I caught John the first time, like all of us who talk for a living.
Yep.
When we get downtime,
nothing. Okay.
This guy wants to talk. Right? Because it's kind of like when you talk for a living and then someone wants to have a conversation with you, you can tell, like, oh man, okay. Okay, what do you need to know, right? But the second time I met him, he was like on point, and he was great. But the first time I got him, I walked away thinking, oh shit, man, because it was in between. It was in a whiskey show. It was in between events, and it's sort of a decompressed time, Okay. And but good guy.
Nice. All right. And I'd probably be the same way. If I'm in a whiskey show, I want to see people, you see them. And I'm the guy that's just asking questions and the one they're trying to like push away. It's like, here, I have this really nice whiskey from down here. Shut up and leave me alone. But I'm asking questions. I want to know a lot, right?
Well, see, that's just it. And the other part of that is like, our job is to be the face of the brand. And so if we are in front of somebody, we're the face of the brand. So, our job is to be there all the time, no matter who's there. If it's one person or if it's 100 people, that's what our job is. And, but then on the other hand, we are human too. You
get talked out, you get bummed out.
Yeah. And I caught him in that one human moment there, which is always revealing. So,
well, you want to refresh. It's good.
Yeah.
All right. So this is for my panel. So, in the section on Irish whiskey, more than any other for me, there was I write in all in all the margins, like get this, drink this. No, get this, find this. But they're all in his drink this sections. You know what I'm talking about, right? So I want to know if there's something that piqued your interest in the drink this section, and I'm wondering if you have the same ones as I did for the drink this that you're looking at.
Which country? Ireland or
this is Ireland. We're in Ireland right now. So as I was going through, there was a lot. So more than any other, and the Canadian one, no, because I have most of the ones that you're saying, but the Irish, I was seeing some stuff that it was really piquing my interest. So I want to know what my panel thinks right now. And well, there's the tealing that you were showing us as well.
Yeah, which I don't think was released when the book went to print.
No, it's on page 171 for you. It's that one. Mm-hmm. My first one was the Powers single pot still is the first one I said I need to get this.
Yeah, the pot still.
Anyone else up there? What do you got?
Yeah.
Sure. I wanted to try them all. But for the show tonight, I thought I would stick to the ones I could pronounce.
Done. Okay.
And so
that was a Scottish one. So it's the same one, right?
Well, this Dingle Batch 3 sounded really interesting.
Yeah, and I put, is this available here? And I don't think it is.
I've seen Dingle at Wine and Beyond, but I'm not sure which batch it was.
I think this is 2 years after this went to print. I think batch 3 is gone. You know, I think it's, you know, I think did I make a mention? Yeah. On 500 bottles released at Cast Drink, the hunt is on. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah, so.
Right.
But I want to try the green spot.
Dingle itself would be fine too. Glendella, I've got the Tullamore, the West Court. There's just a lot that I wanted to try. And this one, I don't know if I've seen the Pierce Lians. I don't so Nicole talked about it tonight, but I don't think I saw that bottle.
Not as widely distributed yet. And again, this is their own whiskeys are now starting to show up. A lot of their whiskeys were hybrid. There was sourced, and then there was theirs. And their early whiskeys, of course, were all sourced. So the 100% sourcing is starting to actually like go away. The hybrid whiskeys are dominant, and then soon it'll give away to just all of theirs. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went off task because I do that. And I picked ones that were like written in the sides as opposed to in the drink this section.
Okay.
I really liked the idea of the in the Cooley section where it was writing down the Renora single grain, which has now been renamed the Kilbeggan single grain because I have grains. So I wanted to hunt that down. And when they were talking about the yellow spot, I've had yellow and green spot a bunch of times, but I'd like to hunt down the blue and the reds to try them. And I've never seen them in Alberta.
Here. No.
Yeah, I've never seen them here, but I'd like to try them. Get my hands on them.
Yeah. Yeah, they the red is it which one just appeared on the market? The bad news.
The red hitting.
I think the red just did. The bad news is that and this is fucking marketing 2021 is that they're already showing up as fucking unicorns, you know. So you know, you can't find them. You know, and if I look at another goddamn Facebook, group where like I just got my second case, I'm gonna go strangle these motherfuckers, you know, right? Because that's what these guys do. They go out and they hoard them together. You know, for some stupid reason, it's more of a trophies than anything else. You know, so
never to be tasted, just there on the shelf.
Never to be tasted. That's
and then reading through that all the rest, looking at. Need to find sometime somewhere when we open our Middleton because we have the
very old.
Yeah, I can't pronounce it.
The Gare de Lac?
Yeah, with the little oak coaster. And,
yeah. Made from Irish oak. Irish oak. Yeah.
We have one, but we'll find some time to open it.
Excellent. See, we did have opinions. I had to drag it out of you guys. You're coming forth with it. Robin, I need to know something right now, because you talked about your time at Compass Box, and I'm wondering, do you miss that time, or are you happy kind of being in one city one time? Because and I tell Dave this a lot, it seems like a dream job when you go out and you're promoting and you're traveling, but I'm wondering if it's, do you miss that? The tastings and everything else that goes with it.
I'll do it.
With Compass Box?
No.
Or just on your own?
I just do it with everybody else. Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, hey, look, Compass Box was my intro into into the whiskey world professionally.
Right.
It was an absolutely life-changing experience for me. Mm-hmm. I had the best time. I think not only did I have the best time, I think I was incredibly effective at what it was that I did. So that means I got something out of that as well. I mean, I really advanced Compass Box in the 36 markets that I worked in. And I came to Canada one time. But we had actually somebody else actually managing Canada. But when we split, it was time. It was absolutely time. And so that we split with no rancor, because I actually was excited about what was happening in the world of craft whiskey. And I was actually just like, oh my God, this is just, Compass Box was the first craft whiskey out there.
Yeah.
Now, I used to have to spell the word artisanal for people. But then all of a sudden, I just saw all of these young distillers just popping up out of nowhere. And I realized, I said, this is going to change the whole face of whiskey. And I want to be part of that. So I had already plotted how I was going to be part of that before Compass Box and I decided to go separate ways. I was already thinking, okay, where's my value statement? How can I actually make an impact on this burgeoning world? You know, because really what I do, my main job is I'm a sales and marketing consultant for small emerging brands. That's what I do.
So they'll bring you in for how long?
It depends. We make a determination based on, I do a needs assessment with every perspective, and I make a determination, what is it that you're looking to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? Yeah. And what do you have right now? And then I say, okay, look, here's what I think I can do. I typically do 6-month engagements. So I do nothing less than a 6-month engagement. And then at the end of the 6 months, then we have then a time when we can say, okay, this is working for me, or this is not working for me, whichever way. And we can go our separate ways. Or we can then decide to engage even further. And some brands I've stayed with for 18 months. Some I've stayed together for 6 months. And it's all fine. I typically front load my clients heavily up front, so that it's sort of like, teach a man to fish type of an approach.
Yeah.
So what I do is I bring methodology. I bring route to market methodology to them.
Or they just start treading water. You're giving them tons of information. Like, holy shit, I don't get this. You got to stay for a little bit longer.
In some cases, yeah. In some cases, kind of like, okay, let's go over it one more time, right? I've closed I've shut down 2 brands.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you do with that? If you're shutting them down, is it with the intent of having them bought out by someone else and kind of transferring the product?
Essentially, essentially people are hiring me for one thing, that they trust me and that I seem to know what I'm doing, and I'm not going to fuck with them. And I'm going to tell them this stuff. Okay, that's 4 things. Now I'm going to tell them shit.
Yeah,
okay, there are 5 things. I'm going to tell them shit that nobody else is going to tell them. Right. I'm going to be the guy that says no most of the time. right? Because a lot of what young distillers want to do, it's all yes, 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 and it's all chasing the new shiny thing. And my job is to say no. So I typically come into brands and I say, oh, you see these 10 SKUs you have on the market, you're going to get rid of 7 of them.
You're going to focus. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to focus. You see these 18 markets you're in? Fuck that. Yeah. We're going down to 2, right? And then I show them how to do that. And then I show them how to sell, because people just don't know how to sell. Selling is a craft and an art form, and you have to understand how to do it if you want to be successful. Not only be successful, but if you really want to get some fulfillment out of it as well. So you have to know how to sell. So a lot of, people, the interesting thing about craft spirits is everybody migrated from something else, because I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. I don't want to be a bond trader. I don't want to do all this shit anymore. I want to make whiskey. And then it's kind of like, oh, shit, I gotta, now what? And that's typically, when they call me.
I want to source my whiskey, put them in barrels I buy, and then sell it.
And that's fine. And that's fine. But then now that I got a bottle, it's now what? So I also do I teach a 2-day route to market course for Moonshine University in Kentucky as well. And I kind of give people in 2 days, I kind of give them, I give them the Cliff's Notes version of what it is I do, and that's kind of like what I do when I go to ACSA and ADI and stuff like that. I kind of give the presentation perspective of what I do. And hey, look, I'm selling myself at the same time. I'm selling my reliability and my transparency and my authenticity. And I've been fortunate. I've got a really good reputation in the spirits industry, and people, when they hear Robin Robinson,
they know who you are. It's good.
And they know who I am, and it's typically in a positive a positive aspect. So so I'm careful about who I bring on. I mean, I've had, oh my God, you should see some of the people who call me. I'm going like, dude, like, no,
I'm not helping you. Trump, I'm not helping you make a wine.
No, that is not only a bad. I fired 2 clients.
Okay.
I've shut 2 clients down. Essentially what I did was I went to their money people and I said, okay, here's your choice. You fire this motherfucker and get somebody else in here, and I'll find the person who actually can run the place, or you sell all the copper and take a loss. And they did both. They fired him and then sold the other person and sold the place. Another brand came to me and they said, man, we're on fire. I said, why? He says, man, we've got 125 PODs. That's a point of distribution. I got 125 PODs in New York City. I said, oh, good. So let me see your sales sheet. So I'm looking at the sales sheet. I said, you got 125 PODs. 8% of them are pulling through.
Okay.
So you got 92% of them with bottles sitting on their shelves or in their basement. I went to one restaurant. I happen to know the manager. I'm sitting at the bar, really top-notch restaurant. I'm sitting at the bar, and there's a bottle of their stuff behind. I said, wow, so you've got this stuff? He goes, yeah, do you know what that is? I go, yeah, I do. He goes, I don't know what the fuck it is, and we've got 6 cases of it downstairs. I'm giving it away to the kitchen staff. I'm going, so
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, right. So I call up the brand. I said, do you know what's going on here? This is like one of the most exclusive restaurants in Midtown Manhattan. You've got 6 cases of this stuff down in the basement, and they don't know what the hell to do with it? Get your ass up here, right? And, so it's kind of stuff like that, So it's fun.
It sounds like it, man. You've got the job of, well, you had a job that I want. You have another job I want. You're going through all these jobs, and the one where you're actually doing the 1-hour stand-up sounds fantastic too. You know what? This has been a really good night. So really informative, tons of information, had lots of time. Thank you. Thanks, Rob. But that's all the time we've got tonight. That's it.
Thanks, guys. Great hanging out with you as well. We only have one more time, huh?
Nope, we got two.
Two more.
Got lesson 7-8, lesson 9-10.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
We're good. That's it. It's been a fantastic evening. Thanks to our listeners. Thanks to the panel. Thanks to Dave, Drew, Nick when she was here, Sheila, and especially Robin. It's been great. Yeah, we hope she feels better real soon. It's been a pleasure. Always is a pleasure. And again, as always, let's hold the glass up. Here's the good company.
Thanks, guys.
Here's good whiskey. Here's good books. Here's a good conversation. Here's to see you all double fisting. Good man. Next week, Saturday, January 16th, 2021, for our Whiskey Book Club's 6th book, Complete Whiskey. Oh, here we go. No, you got to show it. The Complete Whiskey Course and Comprehensive Tasting School in 10 classes. We'll be reviewing class 7 and 8 with that guy right over there. That guy right there. As a final note, you don't want to miss. Click the episodes, click like, click subscribe. We'll see you again soon. Thank you all for coming and have a fantastic, fantastic night.